Hi guys, my name is Ochuko and welcome to BP Talks. And this is where we have industry conversations and it's been so insightful. This is the part where you get to hit the like and subscribe button because for some reason, if you don't hit it, it's not going to show a lot of people. Today I have in the studio Adeniyi Adedotun. He's a social development expert. You're welcome to be in the studio today.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
Exciting to have you here.
Right. Great.
We're going to dive right in and you've done a lot of work in respect to social development.
Yeah.
And a couple of specific questions I'd like you to answer. The first is, why do you think so many brands confuse being active with being effective?
Okay. Thank you so much. Once again, it's good to be here. And yeah. Now, I think, permit me to quickly state this clearly, right? When it comes to business owners, startups, entrepreneurs, whatever name, those in business, and they're in one way or the other getting grants, getting investment. I think for me, I have this one major negative opinion about them, and this is because over time, because of my experience working with different startups, at least for now, I can say I've evaluated close to 1,005 social startups, both in Africa and outside.
Oh.
Right. But one thing that is very different about Nigerian startups is that when I look at their business plan, look at the milestones they want to achieve, most of them are vague, most of them are not real. And this is because I've noticed that most of them are just about the money, the profits they want to make. They are not concerned about the solution. Developing a product that is people-centered, not profit-centered. When you have a product that you want to push outside or a service you want to render, the number one thing that is very important is for you to look at what solution do I want to solve? Or what problem do I want to solve? How do I want to solve it? What's that solution that I've been able to discover from the problem I've identified? That now brings me to the question that you've asked, that what's the difference between a startup or a business owner that is active and that is effective? So the difference I see there is just, permit me to say this because I'm an social impact expert. The difference is whatever activity that you're pushing outside there, what level of impact is it making? It's not enough for you to be busy, but are you busy and making profit? And not only profit, are you productive? There's a difference between you being busy doing different kind of activities and that activities, is it translating to your productivity as an enterprise, as a startup? So that's what for me separates you being active. You can be active doing different kind of stuff, right? Involving yourself in different kind of business activities, but are those business activities translating to the productivity of your business? And now for those that are effective, there are those now that I see that they are active and they are productive. And your productive is broad. But what is the center of productivity? Productivity is in let me just say two layers. The first layer is, to what extent is your solution, that product, to what extent is it creating value to those using it? One. Two, as an organization or as an enterprise or as a startup, to what extent is that solution bringing returns to your organization? Because nobody wants to just do anything without, of course, there are costs that you have, that you have incurred, there are some expenses that you have made, and you want to make profit. So looking at that solution or the product or the services you are giving outside there, to what level is it bringing returns back to the organization or to the company? So those are the two things that is very important when it comes to productivity. One, to what level is your solution or your product or your service, to what level is it impacting, creating value to the people that are using it? Secondly, you as an enterprise, to what extent is it bringing returns, increase to your organization? Now, and like I said, is that productivity bringing it down to the question, which is productivity tied to those that are effective. You can be active and not productive.
Yeah, true. Wow, that's so powerful. What's your framework for deciding when to do less but achieve more impact?
When to do less and to achieve more impact. So now, I think when it comes to impact, let me pick it from this framework I have, which is the theory of change framework. In monitoring and evaluation, there's an approach that we have that helps us in the successful implementation of any business or project activity you want to involve in. So what theory of change does is first of all, diagnose the problem. So now, when major work needs to be done as an enterprise, as a startup, is understanding the market more than anybody else. I tell startups outside that the major work is in that developing of the product or the solution. And that development is in different stages. First of all, you have identified the problem. To what extent do you understand the problem? Two, that problem that you have identified, the solution that you are providing, to what extent do you understand the solution that you are providing? And then three, the solution that you are providing, do you understand those are already providing that same solution? To what extent do you understand the market? So that's where the real work comes in as a business owner, as a startup owner. First of all, understand that's what you want to go into. No, I used to say that nobody should understand your business more than you do.
Absolutely.
So that's where the real work comes in. That's where the middle. So when you have done that and you have grounded in it, you have built your structure well developed, it's for you to begin to push it outside and relax. We have technologies in place that can help you to ensure that when you get your products to anywhere you want to get it to, you have staff also that your team members that can also help you in pushing it. And that's where, for me, that's where less work comes in. It's for you, as long as you have done your groundwork, you have built that structure, then there's a foundation that you can now relax on and say that, okay, let the work continue with with your team members and with the help of technology.
Now, this is a very interesting question. Yeah. How do you ensure your campaigns are actually influencing customer behavior and not just getting attention? Because, the goal really is to you want to hit the nail on the head, right? Rather than getting a lot of eyeballs, rather than getting a lot of attention to what the project is or what have you. How do you ensure that you're not leaving, the customer behavior behind? You want to influence. How do you influence customer behavior?
That's a very, very great question. And this boils down to an approach that I'm working on. I think I spoke with some guys a few days ago. Many of startup owners, business owners, many of them are not conscious of this, which is the user experience approach. I call it the user experience approach. And what do I mean by the user experience approach? It's a journey. Getting your customer. If you see it as a journey, right, then you will know that you need to walk through.
Speak to me about the journey.
Now,
What's true?
The journey starts from how did you get your customer? How did you make them to be aware of your product or your service? Now, after they are aware, how have you been able to keep them to ensure that you retain them? That's awareness, retention, recommendation. Because most of the success that we have today, most of the project or product success that we have today, most of them most of the grants that is being won today. I still told one of my colleagues sometimes that most of the grant opportunities that people get today, most of them are based on recommendation. And also you increasing in customer is a result of customers recommending customers, customers recommending other people to come up with referrals. So now, it's a user experience. One, first of all, how did you get your customers? How did you make them to be aware of your product? Now that they've gotten your product, how well are you ensuring that you are retaining those customers? If I may ask, how many startups outside there today are concerned about getting feedbacks from their customers? Like how many product owners, startups, and many of them are concerned about getting feedback from their customers. You just give them your product. Are you concerned about, okay, let me get to know how these people, what is their opinion? How well did they enjoy your products, right? That's another level on its own, because every customer wants to have a sense of belonging, a sense of relevance, a sense of responsibility that, yes, you are responsible for them because they are your customers, they are using your product. But in a situation where there's a disconnect, it will be very difficult for you to be able to retain that customer. Now, this also brings me to another analogy, which is everyone is emotional. So as a product owner, as a startup owner, as a business owner, you must find a way to get to the emotion of your customers, be able to get to their heart. Look at every of the brands that we have today. Name them various. If you watch their market strategy, their market strategy it boils down to how well can they appeal to their customers? How well can they win the heart of their customers? When you win the heart of your customers can then get more customers for you, right? So that's, for me, that's what my definition is about the user experience. Now, majorly, this is an assignment I want to give every business owners outside there, or business owners, startups, whatever it is that you're involved in. Try to ensure you get feedback from your customers. Let them know, let them express how they feel. Let them give you opinion by you getting feedback from them. It can help you to know how well you are doing as a business owner or as a startup. It can also help you to see which other areas can I build solutions for. You'll be surprised that some of the feedbacks that your customers will give you will be problems that they have identified. And for them to be able to push that problem to you, that means they expect you to, as a business owner, to be able to provide solutions to it. So that's for me, making campaign useful, meaningful, is when you are concerned about your customers. You follow this user experience journey that I've just summarized, use that framework, get to the heart of your customers. That's when your campaign, your marketing will make sense to you as a business owner.
A gentleman wrote a book, and it's titled How to Sell to Nigerians.
Also,
I'm not sure if you've read the book, but there's something that I want to ask you, and I'm speaking from a place of as a social development expert, you would know a lot about consumer behavior. You know a lot about, the only thing you just need right now is a certification for psychology. Because you would understand what the psychology of, particularly Nigerians or Africans, look like. As of now, what's a consistent pattern that you've noticed, particularly with consumers?
Okay, so one major, although I've said a bit of it in that user experience journey, one major pattern I've seen when it comes to, for me, there's a difference between customer and consumers.
Maybe we should mention.
So we're still coming back to that. So, every business owner must know when to convert your consumers to your customers. Consumers are those that use your product and they leave. By customers are those that they use, that are consistent in using your product, and they can help you in preaching the good gospel of your product. Now, for every startup, they must understand that the general pattern I've seen is that everyone that is buying your products, they want to have a sense of, they want that human empathy. Should I say empathy? Yeah. Or it's just still boils down to that emotions. They want you to know that, they want to see that, are you concerned about me? That I'm using your product. Why am I using your product? To what extent that product, to what extent is it satisfying me?
Yeah.
So every customer, they need to know that, yes, you recognize me that I'm buying your product, and because you recognize me, you are giving me. For example, look at when you have a blog or a website or a page for your product, you must be able to have that relationship with your customers online. When they give any suggestion, when they share their opinion, they will feel loved when you reply.
Absolutely.
That opinion or feedback. So for them to appreciate it, it still boils down to that sense of belonging, sense of that relevance. That yes, you see me, you know that yes, I am, patronizing your product. So that's the general pattern. If you do that, if you are conscious and intentional about how your customers feel, there's no how you will blow.
Wow. Interesting. I want to speak to something which is on the tongue, not just it's. I'm sure by now, customer business you've seen, and this is something that businesses receive funding to get your startups receive funding, and after a while, there's one story or the other. We spoke about the patterns for consumers and customers, and I'm sure in respect to the business side of news, particularly when they receive funding, that businesses receive funding, EC, whatever funding. Why that was one story or the other? What's one pattern? And we spoke about there could be various reasons, but what's one that you can see? Let's first with the business side of.
So one major thing, like
when they receive funding from either a VC or whatever, why do these businesses packle? What's one pattern that you've noticed? So there could be various reasons, but what's one that you've been seeing that is consistent?
So one major thing I see that is very that is missing is that although it's a lot, but majorly most startups before launching out, so they launch out too early. What I mean by too early is that they don't take time to understand the market, even their product themselves.
That's another side.
So now, what I mean by product is that let me cover their names. So I did a study, I think 2 years ago. But because I have a framework that I use, I have a monitor and evaluation framework for startups. There's one for projects, there's one for startups. So when I was developing the one for startups, I discovered that I studied, I think, 4 to 5 startups that were existing for a while and packed up. Now, one of them said they left the market because they identified that their targets are non-paying customers.
Is Nigerians first?
Yes. Non-paying customers. 1, 2. The other startup said they were not getting additional funding, and they left. Now, let me pick it from the first person. How can you? And their startups, they've gotten funding.
Right.
They've gotten funding. Now, for you to come out and say that your customer, your target audience are non-paying customers, that means you didn't do your own work very well.
Yeah.
And their startups, I think they are into education. If I'm right now, I think they're into education. And I've worked with an education enterprise organization before, right? And I know that their approaches in 2 ways, or their target are non-paying customers and paying customers.
Wow.
What they did was, first of all, they developed a template for non-paying customers that worked. Now, the template that they used was not the same template they now pitched for paying customers. And when they pitched it, they riding on the success of the non-paying customers. They pitched it to paying customers and it worked. And today, they are doing fine. So now, for me, startups that suddenly just is because from the onset you didn't do your market research very well. Now, market research, first of all, entails on knowing your customers or your target audience and understanding your target audience. Where are they? How can you reach out to them? Right? A lot of things in terms of that. Now, the second aspect when it comes to that, when it comes to product development, right? The second aspect which I fault them on is that before you conclude that you have an MVP, you don't just conclude immediately like that.
I think that's one of the major. Out of if there's a statistics, right? A large percent of them had failed MVPs. and I want you to, speak to that, and maybe for someone out there who's currently working on one and is trying to, is applying for funding and is trying to get one, what makes an MVP successful?
So MVPs for me, from a start, I've come to understand that MVPs, they're in different stages. Before you get to that level of maturity, you must have fulfilled these 3 to 4 stages. That's my own analysis of it. Now, MVP, the first MVP can still be the prototype. What I mean by the prototype is that there's still room for iteration. So you don't conclude that this is the final product. Even those that conclude that this is the final product, there's still a level of iteration. For example, Meta today, there's still a level of iteration they do to their Facebook today.
Absolutely.
Now, so for anyone that's building an MVP, building any product, don't jump into conclusion that you have an MVP. No, you must. Although,
so what should be the approach?
So the approach is, this is a product that is bringing value, but it's still open to iteration. It's still open to updates. Of course, when any investor that wants to invest, any reasonable, either angel, should understand that, okay, the more you launch your product out there, the more you get feedback from your customers, the more you do your research. And while you are doing that, the more you're also planning on how to get your product better. Now, look, when you permit me, YouTube of today, is it the YouTube of the 1970s?
No, absolutely.
The Nike of most they have, and what I mean that before, I think Nike have there's Jordan, there's they just leave it and launch it out. There's never no money to ensure that you have this product in their product. And most of the startups today are outside there. Most they have, and what I mean by that is you must not is that they believe that they've gotten the final product and they don't do any updating it. They just leave it and launch it out outside there. But not knowing that once nobody you have this product and it's today and it's low tomorrow when they sell it outside, there's now like making like it is you must not it doesn't yes there. You must continue. Right. So for me, getting that can most of the envy, most of all the startups that are here, there's nobody that will use it. The market they don't understand the market. Tomorrow when they see that this product is now well branded, like of course they will be happy to see that yes. There's just a product is because they are right. So for me, working most of the envy, most of all the startups that are doing, I think job to say the market, they don't understand the market, their market analysis, and for the startups that just they just have a product that is because they're not working on their product consistently, and don't just jump to say you have you have matured. This is where you are. You are not going to improve your product. No. It won't work. That means you are 10 years to or 5 years to that time, you'll be surprised that your product is not. The close up, I have a lot of research I've done to different kind of products, and I can start mentioning them one after the other. Those are that they've improved their product as a result of the feedback they got from those that are using it.
As a social development expert, anybody who's listening to you right now, particularly maybe someone who developed a product and failed, and is currently thinking, how do I come back? Right? Mm-hmm. What would be your best approach in counseling or giving some form of advice to them?
So, failure can happen from any angle. So there's an adage in my language that says that if a child should fall down, the child will stand up and go forward. But if an adult should fall down, he will look back, look at what fell him down, put an adjustment to it and move, because there's a likely scenario that you might still come back to that spot. So, but when you come back to that spot, you had already removed the obstacle that made you fall. So let me bring it to this startup that any startup outside that have experienced any failure. First of all, identify what made you fall. As a product, as a startup owner, what made you fall? And generally, I think for any startup owners that have failed, I think the general or the holistic approach about it is not understanding your products and understanding your market. if you understand your products, right, very well, you already know that, okay, this is what this product can do for this time. These are the people that can use these products. Now, for example, you can't say I'm looking for a very good example. Okay. Well, apart from that, so you must be able to build a product and understand to what capacity that product can work, right? And also give room to ensure that while this product is working, I am not at home sleeping. I am also working to ensure that this product, this product improves, gets better. One, market. Now, the market outside there, anything can happen. Inflation, and you look at different kind of things that is affecting the market today. So as a startup owner, you must also understand what is happening in the market. Your competitors, what are they doing to get better? What strategy are they using to penetrate into the market? Now, when you get market A, it doesn't mean it's over there. What plan do you have in place to get to market B? What plan do you have in place to get to market C? And there are different strategies to doing that. So for me, as a business, as a startup owner that maybe you have failed was, you need to just sit down, look at what made you to fail as a startup owner. One, two, look at how well you can the product, how well can you get it better, and don't stop there. Two, thirdly, your market itself, your target audience. What can you do to ensure you engage yourself with them? You are active, effective when it comes to engaging with the market, because it's all about really what give out. Whatever you give is what you. So how well are you pushing to the market? How well are you, understanding how the market runs? Your competitors also, what do you think they are doing to ensure that they are still outside there? So for me, those are just the summary of the general solution that any startup that has failed can actually use. But you can also meet any other business experts, when it comes to let them understand specifically. They can provide for you solutions that is tailored to that product that failed.
And as you bring the conversation to a close, I just want to ask you one more question. Most brands, love to be part of, they want to have some form of good recognition with people. As they go to things like CSR, going to things like, social impact. Now, sometimes there's the other side to it, where some people now start seeing them as, what's the word? Are they trying to, for the lack of a better word, I'll give you this illustration. For example, there's a party that we know. I'm not going to mention the party's name, but you see them going the extra mile to do petty things so that they can win the goodwill of people. There can be that kind of backlash for a business or an organization. Now, how does an organization position itself in such a way where, and interestingly, we were just talking about one organization before we started this podcast. How does an organization position itself, in such a way where whatever program you're doing, whatever CSR project you are developing for some form of impact, it actually leaves a lasting impression in the hearts of the people. Not that people are beginning to see that there's some form of ulterior motive. All of a sudden, why are they just, I hope you understand what
I get it. I get it. But so there are several things that such company and organizations need to do. First of all, which is the foundation of it, what's the intention behind it? So the intention has to be genuine first, because if you think people don't know your intention, they know your intention. People. So I've worked with, like I said, I've worked with several organizations that worked into different communities to provide interventions to them. You see, so at times some of them would be so hostile because they've worked with other organizations coming over, and they noticed that those guys were just, they just came to take advantage of that. Okay. So now, your intention as a business owner that wants to involve in any philanthropist activity or any CSR, you need to, first of all, be genuine about it. You have to have a very genuine love for humanity. When you have that genuineness of love for humanity, it will still show in how you are, how you are providing that intervention to them. When you are not sincere, there's a way that, there's this way that you will just do it as if you are doing them a favor. So the intention has to be genuine, letting them know that you are not doing it because you see them that they are suffering and you are doing them a favor. No. One. Two, whatever intervention that you are providing, ensure it is actually what the people need. Right. And that is why I fought the government. I fought, permit me to say this, government, public service holders or public, public, those that were appointed to represent us. I fought organizations, even both international and local, on this aspect, which is before providing any intervention to people, have you done a need assessment to really know? And it's a part of market research to really know that this intervention I want to give to these people is actually what they need, right? And understanding what the people need. Two, don't just provide a temporary solution to the people. Temporary solution. So when it comes to impact matrix, we have what we call the 3 month buy. We have the 3 months. We have the output, we have the outcome, we have the long impact, we have the long term impact, matrix. So now, looking at that, whatever intervention you are giving to the people, ensure there's a long term impact, in it, results in it, not just a temporary one. For you know that the people are hungry and you decide to give them rice. You know that that's just a temporary solution. Tomorrow, the rice will finish and it will continue. The hunger will continue. Have you thought of, okay, what kind of empowerment can I give to these people that would solve the problem of their hunger and also solve the problem of, increasing their economic value as an individual? So those are the kind of things that I think needs to be put in place. So impact, it's a long, think ahead, think of a long-term impact on whatever intervention you are provided to the people. So that I'll put this up, but still reiterate what I said. One, your intention in providing that intervention matters. Is it coming out from a genuine act of love? Are you doing it because you just want to, do them a favor, right? No. Then the second aspect is also that when you want to, is it actually what the people need? The intervention you're giving them, is it what they need? Is it what you know that when you do today, when you come back tomorrow, it will still be there? For example, there was a project years ago that I know a particular international organization provided for people in a particular area. When they provided intervention to them, years later, when they came back to do a kind of follow-up, they noticed that the structure that they built there has already been destroyed. Why? Because the people in that community noticed that this structure that was given to them is hindering them from other things that they need to do. Okay, let me just break it further. They went to provide the borehole, water for the people. And what was the problem? The problem there was that the women go far places to get water. The river there is very far. They go there and during that time, when they have the opportunity to leave the house to fetch water, they have different women from different houses, and that's the time they have the opportunity to gist, to talk, But when the pipe-borne water came, their husbands didn't allow them to go on that journey again, which means the women didn't have the opportunity to mingle among themselves again as a result of that, that pipe-borne water that was provided. And all of a sudden, one day, they woke up, destroyed the pipe-borne water. Oh, no water again. So there was an opportunity for, okay, go and fetch water from the river that is far. From there, the women will meet up. So when these people now, when the organization that provided that intervention came, they tried to find out why did they destroy this thing. This is what they need. And they later spoke and said, no, yes, there's no water, but we have where we are getting water. And this is how we do it. And when we go out to go and get water, it's an opportunity for the women to mingle among themselves, to talk, because ordinarily their husbands do not allow them to go out to mingle among themselves. But the time to fetch water is the time for them to mingle among themselves, right? And they said, what about getting a school for us? What about, doing this for us? These are the things that we need in this community. So every community have their peculiar need. When you carry out a need assessment of every community, you then understand the problem that is peculiar to that community. And as a result of that, you'll be able to provide a solution that is tailored to that community itself, right? So that's where the needs assessment comes in, providing an intervention that the people need. Then the last one is ensuring that whatever intervention you're providing, there's a long-term impact to it.
Wow, absolutely amazing. Wow, Adedotun has shattered the table, broken the table. He has given so from a lot of insight into this conversation. Any final words from you?
Okay, great. So I'll combine it together both for projects. Those are implementing projects. Those are developing products. My takeaway for you guys is that whatever you are doing, whatever product, whatever intervention, don't look at the present. Be concerned. Don't permit me to use this word. I'm sorry if it's not going to sound good. Don't be myopic in your thinking. Think broad. Think long term. Think long term. It's not about the activity that you are engaging in. It's not about that product. The long term is the solution that you want to provide, the product, the value you want to develop. What is the long-term impact for it? And when there's a long-term impact for it, I'm like, don't be surprised, that conversation you would, your product, your
Thank you so much for
intervention
joining us in this conversation. Please don't forget to like,
that's my
share,
takeaway
subscribe
to every of the innovators that are outside
See you in
there.
the next episode. My name is Adeniyi.
Absolutely
Man. Please, I urge you to listen to this conversation again and again and again. Thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Tell somebody to watch this. See you on the next episode. My name is Ochuko, and it was a fantastic one with you today. Cheers.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.